Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Welcome back to Miss Cleo's Storytelling Corner. My name is Cleo Duke Wright, and I own Cull Books at 677 Blue Hills Avenue in Hartford, Connecticut. And you're always welcome to come and visit and sit down and talk books or sit down and talk anything. I just love people to come in and have a conversation. Today, we're going to tell stories. I'm going to tell you some stories about Simpleton. You know that person that nobody ever expects to do anything? That appears to be the slowest, appears not to know much, and somehow comes out on top every single time? Do you know a person like that? Oh, I know some people like that. Oh, yes. Oh, they're not the cleverest, they're not the smartest, but they come out on top. Why, you wonder? Well, we're going to hear two stories about Simpleton. He doesn't talk too much. He just kind of is there and does what he has to do to get by. And when he really has to do something and he really has to do it quickly and important, he just seems to come out on top. Well, the name of the story is The Queen Bee. Two king's sons, or a king who had two sons. Well, his two oldest sons, they went out in search of adventure and fell into a wild, disorderly life. And they never returned home. Well, their younger brother, Simpleton, decided to go out and find out where his brothers were. And at long last, Simpleton did find his brothers. And they laughed at him when he found them, because they said, "You found us? You think you can get along in this world better than us? Oh, no, you can't. This was just pure luck. You found us. You can't get through the world when the two of them, you can't get through the world better than we can." And they went back and forth and they had this discussion, and they all three traveled away together and came to an anthill. The two elders wanted to destroy it, to see the little ants creeping about in their terror and carrying their eggs away. But Simpleton said, "Leave the creatures in peace. I will not allow you to disturb them." Then they went onward and came to a lake on which a great many ducks were swimming. The two brothers wanted to catch a couple and roast them, but Simpleton would not permit it and said, "Leave the creatures in peace. I will not suffer you to kill them. I will not let you kill these ducks." At length, they came to a bee nest in which there was so much honey that it ran out of the trunk of the tree. The two wanted to make a fire beneath the tree and suffocate the bees in order to take away the honey. But Simpleton again stopped them and said, "Leave the creatures in peace. I will not allow you to burn them." At length, the two brothers arrived at a castle where stone horses were standing in the stable, and no human being was to be seen. And they went through all the halls until, quite at the end, they came to a door in which were 3 locks. In the middle of the door, however, there was a little pane through which they could see into the room. There they saw a little gray man who was sitting at a table. They called him once, twice, but he did not hear. At last they called him for the 3rd time. When he got up, opened the locks, and came in. He said nothing, however, but conducted them to a handsome spread of wonderful foods, and they sat and they ate their fill. Oh, then he took the 3 brothers, took them to a bedroom, and there they slept until morning. Well, the eldest brother got up first, and the gray man beckoned to him and conducted him to a stone table on which were inscribed 3 tasks, by the performance of which the castle would be delivered from the enchantment. The first was that in the forest, beneath the moss, lay the princess's pearls, 1,000 in number, which must be picked up, and if by sunset 1 single pearl was missing, he would be turned in to a stone person. The eldest went thither and sought the whole day, and he came out with 100 pearls, and was quickly turned into stone. Then the second brother awoke, and he read the same. Well, he went straight to his task. He knew he could do this. And he went out and he worked all day. And he got 200 pearls. By sunset, quickly turned into stone. Well, then, it was Simpleton's turn. And he read and knew what he was to do. Well, he did not know what to do. And he sat down and he started to cry. What will I do? How will I do this? And when we come back from commercial, we'll see just what Simpleton did. I'll be right back.
Nice ballpark here.
Real nice.
What do you think? They'll let us play a couple games here?
Who we gonna play?
What's up, you guys lost? Just wondering, Hartford Braves braving us to play HPD in here for a couple games?
You know that's not the world's biggest Dunkin' Donut.
You know there's no lost kittens in there either, right? We don't want to be here all day. You guys are short-staffed, you got to fill shifts.
Ain't no rules.
Calm down, guys. Calm down. Despacito. Let's play for Julito and let the best team win September 23rd.
Get your popcorn.
Okay, we are at the third day, and Simpleton wakes up, and it's his turn, and he reads the plaque, which gives him 3 tasks, and he knows his brothers are gone and returned to stone, and now it is his turn, and he goes out and he sits on a rock, and he's just doesn't know what to do, so he sits down and cries. And as he's crying, guess what? The king of the ants comes along. And he says, since you saved us, we will help you. And he brought 5,000 ants to assist. And all day they worked and piled up 1,000 pearls. Oh, Simpleton was so relieved, but he had to go to the next task. And what was he going to do for the next task? Let's see what the next task was. The second task, however, was to fetch out of the lake the key of the king's daughter's bedchamber. When Simpleton came to the lake, the ducks which he had saved swam up to him, dived down, and brought up the key out of the water. Oh, wonderful! But the enchantment was still there. He had one more enchantment, one more task. And was it hard? It was the hardest. Let's see what it was. The third task. He had to pick out of 3 sleeping sisters, the youngest and the sweetest one of all. But now the reason why the task was hard is because all 3 looked exactly alike. How was he to tell? Now the only way that he could tell is just before they fell asleep, they were eating something. And he had to figure out which one ate what, and what did that youngest one eat? Because that's what he was looking for. Now, let's see what happens. But the third task was the most difficult. From among the 3 sleeping sisters, or daughters of the king, was the youngest and dearest to be sought out. They, however, resembled each other exactly and were only to be distinguished by their having eaten different sweets before they fell asleep. Now the eldest took a bit of sugar, and the second a little syrup, and the youngest a spoonful of honey. Then who came to help Simpleton? The queen bee, whom Simpleton had protected from the fire, came and tasted the lips of all 3, and at last she remained sitting on the mouth which had eaten honey, and thus the king's son recognized the right princess. Then the enchantment was at an end. Every everything was delivered from sleep, and those who had been turned to stone received once more their normal form. Simpleton married the youngest and sweetest princess, and after her father's death became king, and his two brothers received the two other sisters. Oh, such a nice story. But it has a lesson to it. All my stories have a lesson. What is the lesson to that story? What is the lesson to the older brothers? And how come Simpleton came through? He might not have been the brightest. He might not have been the quickest. But somewhere in there, he seemed to be the wisest. Unknowingly, he was unknowingly wise. For he did not expect the ant to come and rescue him and collect the pearls. He did not expect the ducks to swim down in the lake and get the key. He did not expect the queen bee to come and help him. But he was kind to each and every one of them, and in their need, he helped them. And my goodness, in their need, he helped them. So in his need, what happened? That's right. They returned the favor. Happens every day when you reach out your hands to help another. When it's your time to get help and get rescued, I bet you, if you sow those seeds, it's going to come right back to you. Now it's time for another commercial, and I'll get my last story ready for you, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. The folks at Cull Books in Hartford want to remind parents, kids need to exercise the most important muscle in their body, the brain. How do you do that? Read. What happens? Well, let me tell you. The imagination soars, the creativity blossoms, the world opens up, and the need to be entertained by outside forces diminishes. Don't believe me? Try it. You won't be sorry, and in time, either will your kids. Cull Book cares about your child's literacy. Join Miss Cleo every week on Miss Cleo's Storytelling Corner online at accesstv.org. Welcome back to Miss Cleo's Storytelling Corner, and we have another simpleton story to tell you. It's called The Three Feathers. Now I want you to listen to the story very carefully. because I see some things in this story, and I wonder if you see those same things in the story, the lessons that are learned in this story. I'm telling you up front, so you could be listening actively to the story as I tell it to you. Many of these stories that I get out of Grimm's fairy tales, if you are work with young people in churches or even adults, you could use some of these stories are almost interchangeable. You search through the Bible and you search through some of these stories, and you could see the similarities in the stories. But sometimes I tell them that nobody can see. And I say, oh my goodness, maybe that was a wrong story. But see if you could see something in this story. Any lessons learned in this story, okay? Listen very carefully, all right? Here we go. The three feathers. There was once upon a time a king who had 3 sons, of whom 2 were clever and wise, but the third did not speak much and was simple, and was called the simpleton. When the king had become old and weak and was thinking of his end, he did not know which of his sons should inherit the kingdom after him. Then he said to them, "Go forth, and he who brings me the most beautiful carpet shall be king after my death. And that there should be no disputes among you." He took them outside his castle, blew 3 feathers into the air, and said, "You shall go as they fly." One feather went to the east, 1 feather went to the west, but the third flew straight up and did not fly far, but soon fell to the ground. And now 1 brother went to the right, 1 to the left, and they mocked Simpleton, who was forced to stay where the third feather had fallen. He sat down and was sad. Then all at once he saw that there was a trap door close to the feather. He raised it up and found some steps and went down them. Then he came to another door, knocked at it, and heard somebody inside calling, "Little green waiting maid with the limping leg, little dog of the limping leg, hop hither and thither, and quickly see who is outside." The door opened, and he saw a great fat toad sitting, and around about her a crowd of little toads. The fat toad asked what he wanted. He answered, "I should like to have the prettiest and finest carpet in the world." Then she called a young one and said, "Little green waiting maid with the limping leg, little dog of the limping leg, hop hither and thither, and bring me the great box." The young toad brought the box, and the fat toad opened it and gave Simpleton a carpet out of it. Oh my goodness, so beautiful and so fine that on the earth above none could have been woven like it. Then he thanked her and climbed out again. Now the 2 others, however, had looked on their youngest brother as so stupid that they believed he would find and bring nothing at all. "Why should we give ourselves a great deal of trouble searching?" said they, and got some coarse handkerchiefs from the first shepherd's wife whom they met, and carried them home to the king. At the time, Simpleton also came back and brought his beautiful carpet. And when the king saw it, he was astonished and said, "It is justice to be done. The kingdom belongs to the youngest." But the two others let their father have no peace, and said that it was impossible that Simpleton, who is everything in everything lacks understanding, should be king, and entreated and begged to make a new agreement. So then the father said, "He who brings me the most beautiful ring shall inherit the kingdom," and led the three brothers out and blew into the air 3 feathers which they were to follow. Those of the two eldest again to the east and to the west, and Simpleton's flower flew straight up and flew straight down. But again, it came near that trap door. Then he went down and said to the fat toad, and told her what he needed. And she had her box brought to her again. And she brought out the most beautiful ring with pearls and diamonds. Oh, wonderful! Nothing could be found on earth like this. And Simpleton thanked her again and left. And of course the two brothers, now let's see what they did. The two elders laughed at Simpleton for going to seek a golden ring. They gave themselves no trouble, but knotted the nails out of an old carriage ring and took it to the king. But when Simpleton produced his golden ring, his father again said, "The kingdom belongs to him." The two elder brothers, they were in torment and begged for a third chance. Give us a third mission. Give us a third task. So the king said, okay. He again threw up the 3 feathers, and they came down the same as before. One to the east, one to the west, straight up, straight down. So Simpleton, he goes down to the toad. But what is the task? What is the task? The task is to bring a beautiful woman. Oh. So he goes down and he asks the fat toad for a beautiful woman. And she says she gave him a yellow turnip which had been hollowed out, to which 6 mice were harnessed. Then Simpleton said, quite mournfully, "What am I to do with this?" The toad answered, "Just put one of my little toes into it." Then he seized one at random out of the circle and put her into the yellow coach that became a coach, but hardly was she seated into it, then she turned into what? I know you know, a beautiful maiden. And the turnip into, that's right, a coach. And the mice into horses. So he kissed her and drove off quickly with the horses and took her to the king. His brothers, who came afterward, had given themselves no trouble at all looking for beautiful girls, but had brought with them the first peasant women they chanced to meet. When the king saw them, he said, "After my death, the king belongs to my youngest son." But the two eldest defended the king's ear, bent it, complaining. "We cannot consent to simpleton being king," and demanded that the one whose wife could leap through a ring which hung in the center of the hall should have the preference. They thought, the peasant women can do that easily. They are strong enough. But the delicate maiden will jump herself to death, said the brothers. The aged king agreed likewise to this. Then the two peasant women jumped through the ring, but were so clumsy that they fell, and their coarse arms and legs broke in two. And then the pretty maid, whose simpleton had brought with him, sprang through as lightly as a deer, and all opposition had to cease. So he received the crown and had ruled wisely for a length of time. Wow. You never know what's going to happen. We never know what is going to happen when we follow directions and do what we're supposed to do. And Simpleton took it seriously, but his brothers didn't. And he became king. Just think over that story. I hope you listened intently. I wish you'd give me a call. Give me a call at 860-690-1711 and tell me what you thought of that story, and tell me what you think it all means. And tell me about the lessons. But right now I have to go. So read a little, write a little, dream big, and I'll see you next week.
My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I do business as Lightsource Productions. I provide professional services in the area of strategic video communications. First, what we do is we help you craft your message using what I call the rule of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We do event documentation, content acquisition, full-scale productions, editing, and of course distribution through our social media television network. And with social media, video is more important now than it has ever been. Whether you're talking big business, small business, nonprofit, church, or just an individual. Let's say you're planning an event, a wedding, whatever the case may be. But let's say a big event, but no video. And you spent all this time, all these hours to put this event on, and maybe 100, 200 people attend the event. But more important than that is that thousands could attend by watching it on social media. But of course, you don't think about this until after the event is over. You can't afford not to capture it for social media. And despite what people think, I am affordable. Give me a call. Let's plan your next video project and share it with the world on my social media television network. I promise you that you will have the attention of one person, me.